There we are, in our motorhome. That's my wife there, relaxing next to the beach in the Outer Hebrides, and it was actually sunny, you know, with a cup of tea. What could be better? So that's what motorhoming is all about. And I say we want insurance to give us that little bit of comfort, but there are other two main reasons why you need it. Legal requirements: you've got to have your third-party insurance to be on the road, whether in this country or the UK. And then motorhomes are not cheap things, and it's okay if perhaps you're young and a good job, a good income, but most of us are not in that position, so we put a lot of our savings and money into a motorhome, and if you lose something, you're in a crash, you can't easily replace that. So insurance that you can rely on is absolutely essential. But policies vary enormously. And also the prices. And of course, it's how you use your motorhome will affect the prices of insurance, but it depends which insurance company you go to. This character is in Germany. As you see, he's dispensing the local brew. And if you enjoy, like a lot of people, touring Europe for long periods, then your insurance can be a lot different than someone that just drives locally, perhaps that only does 2,000 miles a year and it's in the UK. Some people that are out in Europe for 6 months a year and perhaps do 10,000 miles a year, they'll be trying for a different deal. And you'll find that some policies will offer just very limited European cover. Say they'll allow 30 odd days per year. My insurance company, it's unlimited, and even the trip length is unlimited within 1 year. So you've got to shop around. That's really the one important thing. You have to shop around, because all these insurance companies, they're all going for a different sort of sector of the market as they see the best bet for them, the most secure way of getting a return. So look at what they're offering. Look at voluntary excesses. Sometimes it's just £100. Maybe if you push that up a little bit more, if you feel you can afford that, then that can bring the premium down. Where do you store your motorhome? If you keep it in a secure compound, like a CASUA approved, gold rated approved storage compound, that will count well. Have you been on driving courses? Both the clubs operate motorhome courses. If you tell them that, that helps. In fact, even if you're just a member of a club, sometimes some insurance companies will give you a discount. So don't forget to say, oh, I'm a member of the Camping and Caravan Club or Caravan Club. But you've always got to rigorously compare like for like. You know, if you go on the phone and you get a quote or wherever, you know, one's offering one thing, one's offering another thing. Write it all down and make sure you can compare that it is like for like. And you've always got to read the policy documents, because the basic price and perhaps the excess and the time of Europe, that looks fine. But do look at what they're giving you. Often they'll give you a policy summary, and that's fine. But you should always, at some time, look, preferably before you buy, but if you do buy, as soon as you get the full policy document, go through it, paragraph by paragraph. It is a pain, I know. You're not covered. If you leave the ignition key in your motorhome, and it's the same with the car, you're not covered. You know, it's only a simple thing, and in fact, most of us are in the habit anyway. As soon as we leave the motorhome, the keys go in your pocket. And one thing I know a lot of people do, they go to a rally down in Spain for 3 months, and I know people, they come back at Christmas. Now, you look at your policy, I looked at my policy, you're not allowed to do that. That doesn't mean to say that if you tell them that's what you want to do, they will cover you, but at an extra premium. But it's better to know about these things before the event happens and then argue, because you've signed a contract and justifiably they can say, you're not covered, you left it unattended. So if you see something you're not happy about, go back to your insurance company and query it. Some companies will offer breakdown insurance. And in fact, an awful lot of insurance companies are doing this now. And I'm always a bit worried, is it second-rate breakdown insurance? And in fact, the company I'm with, I've since heard about someone who's experienced a breakdown while they're abroad and found out it was absolutely wonderful, the service they received. But just make sure about that. Obviously, the quality of service is something you're only going to find about talking to other people from experience. But there are things like dimensions. A lot of breakdown services, even if you're looking at AA and RAC outside normal insurance, they will have in their conditions that they'll only take a certain weight or only certain sizes. So there's a height limit or a length limit. And in fact, this particular picture, you can see it's RAC. It's actually the Camping and Caravan Club arrival scheme taking a motorhome away. Interestingly enough, if you get that insurance from RAC, you ring up RAC, I want to insure my motorhome, just mention you're a member of the club and you think, that's fine. If you were to ring up the Camping and Caravan Club and say, I want to join arrivals, you join that, so you're actually both with RAC, but if you went to the RAC as just as an ordinary person, then you'll find that you're limited on the length or weight. If you joined through the club, you've got a different package and weight and length are unlimited. Now that's my motorhome, in case you're wondering. And that's windscreen cover, and that's in France. I had to get my windscreen replaced when it cracked, and I had to deal with the French. And they insisted that I have it repaired undercover. They wouldn't come out to me, so I went where they wanted me to. I told them the height, including my dome, but when we got there, it didn't fit. So there it is, it's blocking the footpath, sticking out into the road, you know what the French are. Shrug of the shoulders, and off they went. So, but anyway, the good thing is that through my insurance company, I had windscreen cover. So, you know, a potential crisis was dealt with, and I didn't have to fork out 800 euros, which it cost to replace that windscreen. I had an excess of 100 euros, which I could cope with. Security is a big thing with insurance companies. They will generally look at your postcode to see if you're in a good area or not. Wherever you live, good or bad, you're always going to have the problem of, or potential problem of theft. And the more security you have, the less risk of it being stolen. And so the insurance company are going to think, you're a better bet for us. So make sure you've sorted all your security out and tell the insurance company, and it may even be worthwhile getting something more on, not only for your peace of mind, but getting a reduced premium. If you've got a motorhome like mine, which is a very basic motorhome, and then I've started putting £1,500 worth of satellite dish, £700 worth of awning and so on, the values increase. So do tell your insurance company about that. That's extra value, so that when it goes missing or whatever, you want to be able to hopefully get that value back. Also, don't forget the contents. You may see in your insurance company policy it covers content, but do look carefully at the word. And again, it's all this time you've got to look at the detail. The devil is in the detail. And you'll see there are 3 items I've got in my motorhome, and they cover the TV and the camera, but only up to a limit of 250. So the TV, okay, someone nicked that, I could get that replaced for 250. But that camera, with its lens, there's £1,000 there. So you've got to consider perhaps you need other insurance. Maybe look at your house insurance, see if that covers it, but you may need separate insurance. Oh, and of course the laptop and mobiles, they're not covered at all if they're stolen from the motorhome by the motorhome insurance. So, you know, if you're going to have this confidence, just check what it actually covers. And one thing that insurance companies do not cover is damage from rot, mildew, insects or vermin. And okay, he may have a job getting in my motorhome, but a mouse can squeeze in an incredibly small gap. You know, you drop out ventilators. If you haven't got a good solid grid over it, they can get in. They can chew your cables, chew an enormous amount if they're left long enough. Insurance companies don't cover that. So you've got to make sure you've got a pretty tight motorhome and look where you store it. If you store it on a storage compound, ask if they've got a vermin control policy. Oh, and then of course there's the usual exclusions: war, invasion, revolution, and radioactivity from burning of nuclear fuel. But hopefully where we go, we won't get that. Modification, I talked about putting extra kit on. That's a modification, so do tell your insurance company, because again, they've got all these rules and regulations, and I guess there's good reason for that, but modifications, and particularly there's things like tow bars, engine chipping, air suspension, do tell them. It can affect if anything happens later on. Chances are, even with engine chipping, it won't make any effect, it won't change your policy. If you're a boy racer in a small car, that may be different, but I don't think most of us want to race our motorhomes, and certainly my insurance company wasn't upset about putting another 20 brake horsepower. So, what insurance company to choose? First and foremost, don't go for a non-specialist company, because when something happens, they just won't understand what motorhome is all about. They think you're mad going around Europe in a little box, they won't understand. Go to a specialist company. Look for a policy statement that is in plain English. If you don't understand it, you should go back and clarify. There's no one best company, because it depends on individual and personal circumstances. As I was saying, you may do 2,000 miles a year in the UK, you may do 10,000 abroad. And different companies will have different policies which will meet your particular requirements. So if you go for the wrong sort of policy, you're going to be paying a lot more for, say, going in Europe when you're only going in the UK. So shop around and spend a lot of time doing it. Consider, if you're a member of a club like the Caravan Club and the Camping Caravan Club, look at their insurance. I won't say it's always necessarily the cheapest, but the thing I would say is that they try and go the extra mile to keep their members happy, and there's always a backup. If you have a problem, a dispute with your insurance company, those clubs have a representative that handles the insurance, that you can go to the club representative. They will look at it, and if necessary, or if they feel it right, they will make representations to the insurance company. So it's worthwhile to consider the club. Finally, talk to friends, because however good the policy is, it's how they react. You've had a crash, you've had an accident. Do they shrug their shoulders, or are they really helpful, proactive, and get you sorted out? You just don't want this disaster to ruin the holiday you've been planning. So talk to friends, but make sure that any negative feedback is deserved and not on ignorance of policy. Because remember, poor service levels negate the best policy benefit. So that's important. Talk to people. Summary: cheapest isn't necessarily the best. You want the right policy for you. Allow plenty of time for renewal so you can do all these comparisons, speak to several insurance companies, read those policy documents, as boring as they are, from cover to cover, and then weigh up the full package on offer. Okay, thank you very much.
Wow.